Welcome, dear friend, to a quiet corner of our channel, and thank you from the deepest reaches of our heart for choosing to spend your precious time here with us. We have woven for you a gentle story crafted to serve as a warm, comforting hand, guiding you toward a peaceful night's slumber, helping you to drift off with ease. If, as you journey with us, you find a gentle joy in this quiet tale, please do, right now, lend your support by liking this story, subscribing to our channel, and perhaps sharing a gentle comment, for it helps us continue to share these moments of tranquility. Before we cross the threshold into the Atheneum, a place where the air itself is a blanket of quiet, and where softly glowing orbs drift like memories, we shall first share a moment of gentle breathing to settle your spirit. Now, let us invite true comfort to our being. Settle yourself, much like a traveler finding a perfectly smooth, cool stone on which to rest. Feel your body sink gently into your mattress, or perhaps into the soft cushions of your chair, allowing every part of you to feel utterly supported and at ease. Adjust your blankets, pull them close as if they were a soft, warm current of air, and let your pillow cradle your head, making a cozy nook just for you. This is your special time, a gentle evening pilgrimage where all the busy thoughts of the day may simply unfurl and drift away, inviting a quiet calm into your heart, as soft and pervasive as the ancient silence held within the Atheneum itself. Let us share a soothing breath together, much like the slow, contented exhalation of the vast archive. Slowly, gently, draw the air in through your nose, imagining it flowing easily and naturally, a soft golden light filling every corner of your being. Then, release it just as gently through your mouth, a soft, almost imperceptible sigh of pure relief. With each slow, deliberate breath, feel your body softening, much like dust motes settling in still air, releasing any small knots of tension you might be holding. Imagine the clean, cool fragrance of ancient stone, the faint, warm scent of humming wood, and the profound feeling of a quiet that has been undisturbed for a very long time, filling your senses and hushing the small, lingering noises of your day. If, perchance, your thoughts begin to flutter like moths around a gentle flame, that is quite all right, dear one. Simply observe them, allowing them to drift by like the silent, floating orbs of light in the great hall, and then, with the gentlest kindness, guide your attention back to the steady rhythm of your breathing, or to the quiet comfort of my voice. There is nothing left for you to do now, save for listening and allowing the story to carry you into the deep, dreamless rest you so richly deserve. Feel the Whisperwood's low, deep hum, a vibration that resonates with the very song of patience, gently coaxing your own body into a profound state of relaxation. Let any remaining worries simply soften and dissolve like a footprint in soft moss. Now, let us begin our quiet journey where the gentle hum of ancient wood and the soft glow of unwritten stories await to guide you into a serene and deeply restful sleep. Chapter 1: The Threshold of Silence. It is a curious thing, is it not, how the quietest places are often the hardest to find. They do not announce themselves with grand gateways or signs, but rather they hide in plain sight, waiting for a soul who is already listening for them. So it was with Faelan, a cartographer of gentle things, who found the entrance to the Atheneum of Still Air not on a map, but as a feeling, a subtle pull toward a shallow dale where the mist clung to the ground like a soft woolen blanket. Even at midday, the air here had a different texture, a certain coolness that spoke of deep, undisturbed places and the slow, patient passage of time. The entrance itself was a simple archway of pale gray stone, unadorned and so weathered by eons of soft rain and gentle wind that its edges had rounded into smooth, welcoming curves. There was no door, no barrier to entry, only an invitation held in the deep, quiet shadow that pooled just beyond the threshold. One might have passed it by 100 times and thought it nothing more than a curious rock formation. But Faelan, whose heart was already tuned to such quiet frequencies, felt its call as clearly as a song, a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate not in the ears, but deep within the chest. With a soft, slow breath, a breath that felt like the end of one journey and the beginning of another, Faelan stepped through the arch. The change was instantaneous and total. It was not like entering a cave or a building, but like stepping into another state of being altogether. The thin, misty air of the dale was replaced by something more substantial, something that felt both cool and impossibly soft against the skin. It carried the scent of ancient, dry stone, of dust that had settled centuries ago, and a faint, unplaceable aroma like old, well-loved paper, though there was none to be seen. The most profound change, however, was the silence. It was not merely an absence of noise, but a presence, a deep, enveloping quiet, so absolute that it seemed to have a soft, comforting weight. The gentle rustle of Faelan's own clothing, the soft pad of their boots on the stone floor, were sounds that existed for a mere moment before being tenderly absorbed by the stillness, like single raindrops falling into a vast, placid lake. It was a silence that did not deafen, but instead seemed to make one hear for the first time the gentle, rhythmic hum of one's own quieted heart. Faelan stood just inside the threshold for a long, unmeasured time, simply allowing this new world to settle around them. Their eyes, accustomed to the bright diffusion of the misty day, slowly adjusted to the soft, indirect light that filled the immense hall before them. The light did not seem to come from any discernible source, like a window or a torch, but rather it emanated from the very air and stone, a gentle, hazy luminescence that cast no sharp shadows, only soft gradients of gray and pale gold that made the sheer scale of the place feel intimate and safe. Looking up, Faelan could not see a ceiling. The towering stone walls, smooth and seamless as if carved from a single mountain, rose up and up until they disappeared into a luminous, pearlescent haze far above. The scale was breathtaking, enough to make one feel very small, yet it did not inspire awe so much as a profound sense of peace. It felt like standing at the bottom of a deep, calm ocean of air, where the pressures of the world above could simply not reach. With the first true exhalation of pure contentment, Faelan felt a loosening in their shoulders, a release of some tension they had not even been aware they were carrying. The weight of their traveler's pack, the weariness in their limbs from the long walk, all of it seemed to lessen, its significance fading within the grand, gentle quietude of the hall. Here, there was no need for maps, no destination to strive for. The journey was simply in being. Taking a first tentative step forward, Faelan's boot made a soft sighing sound on the perfectly smooth stone floor. The floor itself was a marvel, a single unbroken expanse of pale gray stone, polished by ages of silence into a surface that reflected the soft ambient light like the still surface of a pool at twilight. It was cool to the touch, a grounding sensation that seemed to draw any lingering restlessness down and away. Faelan began to walk, not with purpose, but with a slow, wandering grace, letting their feet lead them deeper into the heart of the Atheneum's great and peaceful mystery. Chapter 2. The Whisperwood Isles. As Faelan moved deeper into the vastness, the initial hall gave way to immense, silent aisles. They were formed by towering shelves that stretched upwards into the luminous haze, creating long, peaceful corridors of quiet. The air here felt even softer, carrying a new scent, something warmer and more organic than stone. It was a delicate fragrance, like sun-warmed wood and the faintest hint of chamomile, a scent that felt like a half-remembered happy dream. The silence remained, a constant, gentle companion, muffling even the soft whisper of Faelan's own slow breathing. The shelves themselves were crafted from a wood unlike any Faelan had ever seen. It was a pale, creamy white, with a grain that swirled in slow, graceful patterns, like smoke frozen in time. The surface was impossibly smooth, without a single knot or splinter, warm to the touch and seeming to thrum with a faint, low-frequency vibration. It was a gentle, soothing hum, a sound felt more in the bones than heard with the ears, like the contented purr of some great sleeping creature. These were the famed Whisperwood shelves, though they held no books, no scrolls, no objects of any kind. Their treasure was of a different sort entirely. Reaching out a hand, Faelan gently laid their palm flat against the surface of one of the shelves. A soft, pleasant warmth immediately seeped into their skin, traveling up their arm like the gentle heat from a cup of tea held on a cool day. As their fingers traced the smooth, swirling grain of the Whisperwood, another scent bloomed faintly in the air around them. This one surprisingly familiar, the comforting aroma of freshly baked bread. It was a simple, wholesome smell that spoke of hearth and home, of kindness and simple sustenance, a memory held and offered by the wood itself. It was in this aisle, with a hand resting on the warm, humming wood, that Faelan first saw him. At the far end of the long corridor, a figure moved with a slowness that made Faelan's own wandering pace seem hurried. He was tall and slight, wrapped in robes the color of pale stone that blended almost perfectly with the surroundings. This was Cassian, the warden of the Atheneum. He moved with a serene, unhurried grace, his feet seeming to glide over the stone floor without a sound, his attention focused on gently wiping a fine layer of ancient dust from a shelf with a soft, dark cloth. Cassian seemed to sense Faelan's presence without looking up. He paused his gentle work and turned his head slowly, his eyes, the color of warm, clear honey, holding a deep and ancient kindness. He offered not a word of greeting, but a small, gentle smile that seemed to be a natural part of his face, a smile that reached his eyes and made them crinkle at the corners. He then raised a hand and beckoned Faelan forward with a slow, simple gesture that was not a command, but a gentle invitation to share the space. As Faelan approached, Cassian turned to a small stone niche in the wall, from which he produced 2 simple ceramic cups and a steaming pot that seemed to draw its heat from the very air. The scent that rose from the pot was fragrant and calming, a blend of soft lavender and mint that mingled beautifully with the warm, woody air. He poured the pale golden liquid into the cups without a word, the only sound being the gentle trickle of the tea, a sound that felt precious and clear in the profound stillness of the hall. He offered 1 cup to Faelan, his movements deliberate and full of a quiet grace. Faelan accepted it, their fingers wrapping around the smooth, warm ceramic. The heat was a pleasant, grounding sensation, a simple comfort that felt immeasurably profound in this place of silent wonders. They stood there together for a time, Cassian and Faelan, sipping the warm, fragrant tea in a comfortable, shared silence. 2 quiet souls in the heart of a library made of stillness. There was no need for questions, no need for introductions. Faelan understood, with a certainty that bloomed quietly in their heart, that Cassian was as much a part of the Atheneum as the Whisperwood shelves or the stone beneath their feet. He was not a guard or a librarian in the traditional sense, but a caretaker of the quiet, a tender of the peace. His presence was another layer of the deep, restorative calm that permeated every corner of this gentle, magical place. Chapter 3: The Light of Unwritten Stories. After the shared, silent cup of tea, Cassian gave a soft, slow nod, as if to say, "Come, there is more to see," and began to lead the way. He moved deeper into the Atheneum, his soft slippers making no sound on the polished stone, his pace so languid it encouraged a state of walking meditation. Faelan followed, feeling the warmth of the tea spreading through their chest, a comforting anchor in the vast, silent space. The aisles began to widen, the ceiling of luminous haze seeming to rise even higher until they emerged into a central chamber of truly breathtaking scale. This was the heart of the Atheneum, a circular space so enormous that the far wall was but a faint curved shadow in the distance, and it was here that the source of the Atheneum's gentle light became clear. Floating all throughout the immense chamber, from the cool stone floor to the unseen heights, were countless spheres of light. They were the lumina orbs, and they drifted on unseen currents of air with the slow, random grace of jellyfish in a calm sea. Each one was a soft, self-contained glow, some the color of pale honey, others like the softest rose of dawn, and they pulsed with a slow, steady rhythm like 1,000 sleeping heartbeats. Faelan stood motionless, utterly captivated. The sight was one of such gentle, whimsical wonder that it seemed to bypass the mind and speak directly to the soul. It was a silent ballet of light, a living constellation in an indoor sky. The air here was filled with a soft, warm radiance that felt nurturing on the skin, and the combined humming of the countless orbs created a sound that was almost silence, a chord of pure peace that resonated deep within Faelan's being. The texture of the air itself seemed to shimmer with their collective, gentle energy. Cassian gestured with an open palm toward the drifting lights, his expression one of quiet reverence. He brought a finger to his lips, not to shush Faelan, but as a gentle sign to simply feel rather than analyze. Faelan understood. These were the stories of the Atheneum, the true collection of its vast library. They held no words, no plots, no characters. Instead, each orb was a vessel for a pure, unwritten emotion, a single perfect moment of peace captured and held in luminous form. As Faelan watched, one of the smaller orbs, one with a particularly warm golden glow, seemed to take notice of their calm presence. It broke from its lazy, spiraling path and drifted slowly closer, coming to a gentle halt just an arm's length away. It pulsed softly, its light washing over Faelan's face like the first rays of a gentle sunrise. As the light touched them, Faelan felt a distinct, wonderful sensation, a wave of pure, uncomplicated contentment, the feeling of a lazy afternoon spent lying in a field of warm grass, with no cares and nothing to do but watch the clouds drift by. The experience was deeply moving, yet utterly calming. There was no story to follow, no lesson to decipher, only a feeling to be accepted, a gift of peace from the heart of the Atheneum. Faelan closed their eyes, taking a slow, deep breath, and felt the feeling of contentment settle deep within them, a soft, glowing warmth in the center of their chest that mirrored the orb floating before them. When they opened their eyes again, the orb gave a soft final pulse, as if in acknowledgement, and then slowly drifted away to rejoin the silent dance of its brethren. Faelan spent a long, timeless period in the great chamber, sometimes walking slowly among the drifting lights, sometimes simply sitting on the cool stone floor, watching them move. Each orb they drew near offered a different, gentle gift. One, the color of a pale lilac, brought a sense of quiet wonder, like seeing the stars for the very first time. Another, a soft, creamy white, imparted a feeling of deep, restful stillness, the quietude of a snow-covered landscape at dusk. It was a library of sensation, a catalogue of calm. There was a profound wisdom in this, Faelan realized. Stories made of words could be misinterpreted, their meanings twisted by the reader's own worries and experiences. But these stories, made of pure light and feeling, could only be received with an open heart. They did not ask for understanding, only for acceptance. They were a reminder that the most important things in life are not things that can be read or told, but things that must be felt. And in the silent, glowing heart of the Atheneum, Faelan was learning to feel again, with the innocent wonder of a small child. Chapter 4. The Breath of the Archive. Drawn by an unspoken intuition, Faelan found their way from the great central chamber into a smaller, more intimate side alcove. This space felt like a quiet chapel dedicated to rest. It was a curved recess in the seamless stone, just large enough for one or two people to sit in comfortable solitude. The light here was even softer, a gentle, diffused glow cast by a single large lumina orb of pale silvery white that hovered patiently in the center of the alcove. Its steady, serene light made the space feel both secluded and profoundly safe, like a perfectly crafted nest. Along the curved wall of the alcove ran a simple stone bench, but what made it remarkable was the covering that grew upon it, a thick, plush layer of something that looked like moss, but felt infinitely softer. It was the color of a gentle sea foam green, and when Faelan reached out to touch it, the texture was like the finest down, cool and springy beneath their fingertips. It seemed to sigh with a faint release of clean, earthy-smelling air when pressed. It was an invitation to rest that was impossible to resist. Faelan settled onto the bench, their bodies sinking gently into the soft, living cushion. The comfort was immediate and complete. The moss-like growth seemed to perfectly contour to their shape, supporting them with a gentle firmness that eased the very bones. Leaning back against the cool, smooth stone of the wall, Faelan let out a long, slow sigh of their own, a sound that was instantly embraced and softened by the still air of the Atheneum. Here, in this quiet nook, the world felt 1,000,000 miles away. With nothing to do and nowhere to be, Faelan's attention turned inward, not to the realm of thought, but to the simple, physical sensations of being. They noticed the pleasant, substantial weight of their own limbs, the feeling of being held securely by the bench in the quiet alcove. The constant low hum of the distant Whisperwood shelves was a gentle vibration that seemed to travel up from the stone floor, a calming, resonant lullaby that coaxed every muscle into a state of deep release. The large silvery white lumina orb drifted a little closer, its placid glow feeling like the softest moonlight. Faelan watched it for a time, their thoughts beginning to slow, losing their sharp edges and becoming as soft and indistinct as the light itself. A worry about a frayed map, a question about the journey home. These thoughts arose, not as anxious demands, but as gentle, harmless bubbles rising to the surface of a deep pool, where they popped and vanished without a trace. There was no effort in letting them go. The profound peace of the place simply gave them no purchase. Faelan began to focus on their breathing, a practice they had often attempted in the busy world outside with limited success. Here, it was effortless. Each inhalation felt like drawing in the very essence of the Atheneum stillness, a cool, clean draft of pure quiet. Each exhalation felt like releasing another small, forgotten layer of tension, watching it dissolve into the peaceful air. The rhythm of their breath slowed, deepened, and found an easy, natural cadence, falling into sync with the slow, steady pulse of the lumina orb. A wonderful sense of acceptance washed over Faelan. It was a feeling of being perfectly in place, of needing nothing, changing nothing. The past was a gentle memory, the future a hazy possibility, but the present moment was a full and complete universe of serene sensation. The soft texture of the mossy cushion, the cool solidity of the stone at their back, the gentle silvery light on their closed eyelids, the deep resonant hum in their bones. This was all that mattered, and it was more than enough. Time seemed to melt away. Faelan might have sat there for minutes or for hours. The distinction had lost all meaning. They drifted in a state between wakefulness and sleep, a a serene and blissful awareness where the mind was as quiet and still as the great halls of the Atheneum itself. It was a form of rest more profound than any sleep they had ever known, a rest that reached into the very core of their being, soothing and restoring them on a level they hadn't known was weary. In the heart of silence, they had finally found the breath of the archive, and it was breathing them. Chapter 5. A Stillness to Carry Home. The return to awareness was as gentle as the slow blooming of a night flower. It was not a sudden awakening, but a gradual gathering of the senses, a soft rising from the deep, calm waters of rest. Faelan's first conscious perception was of the steady, silvery light of the lumina orb, which had now drifted to the far side of the alcove, its glow as soft as a fading star. A profound feeling of well-being permeated their entire body, a lightness and clarity that felt entirely new. Every limb was loose and rested, and a quiet, joyful calm resided in their chest, where once a traveler's anxieties had fluttered. Rising slowly from the moss-like cushion, Faelan felt different. The stillness of the Atheneum was no longer just something they were surrounded by. It felt as though they had absorbed it, as if the profound quiet of the halls was now humming gently within their own soul. The air of the place had washed them clean of hurry and worry, leaving behind a simple, peaceful gratitude. They stretched, a long, languid movement, and their body felt fluid and easy, all the small knots of tension from their long journey having been completely unraveled. Making their way back through the silent, glowing corridors, Faelan found Cashin waiting for them near the entrance hall. The warden was standing by the great archway, a soft smile on his kind face, as if he had known precisely when Faelan would be ready to depart. He did not ask how they had rested. The answer was plain to see in the newfound serenity in Faelan's eyes and the peaceful set of their shoulders. The air between them was filled with a comfortable, unspoken understanding. Cassian held out a hand, his palm open. Resting in it was a small, simple stone, no bigger than a robin's egg. It was perfectly smooth, a soft gray color, and it felt wonderfully, inexplicably warm to the touch, as if it had been sitting in a patch of gentle sunlight for a whole afternoon. Faelan knew, without being told, that it was a piece of the Atheneum's floor, a small vessel filled with the quiet, restorative energy of the place. It was a memento, a gift to carry the stillness out into the world. Faelan took the stone, its warmth spreading instantly into their hand, a familiar and comforting sensation. They gave Cashin a look of deep, heartfelt thanks, a look which the warden returned with a slow, gentle nod of his own. No words were necessary. The exchange was complete, a perfect, silent farewell that held all the meaning that was needed. With the warm stone held gently in their hand, Faelan turned toward the archway. Stepping through the threshold was as gentle an experience as entering had been. The cool, misty air of the outside world greeted them, but it no longer felt thin or ordinary. It felt fresh and full of life, and the soft chirping of a distant bird, once a sound that would have gone unnoticed, now seemed as clear and precious as a tiny, perfect bell. The profound silence of the Atheneum had not made the world seem loud. but had instead tuned Faelan's senses to its gentlest, most beautiful details. The world outside was the same, yet everything was different, for Faelan was different. The journey ahead no longer felt like a task, but a simple, peaceful continuation. They took a slow, deep breath, feeling the cool air fill their lungs, and as they exhaled, they could still feel the gentle, steady hum of the Atheneum's peace within them, a quiet anchor in their heart. The story ends here, not with an ending, but with a new, gentle beginning, as Faelan takes their first slow step away from the hidden dale, carrying a quietude that would now be with them, wherever they might wander.